Today I'm joined by Kanamé Onoyama. Hope I pronounced that correctly.
Yeah, perfect.
Good, good. How's it going? How's it going?
All good, all good. I'm actually still confined in Paris, like everybody, and yeah, since 2 months now, I've been more or less enjoying this calm moment in a weird way. But I'm a little bit happy not to be super busy on set and traveling everywhere, and yeah, being stuck at home. Yeah, so it's a weird moment, but
Yeah, I think a lot of people I've been talking to have had like kind of peaks and troughs of emotions with it. Do you know what I mean? Like I know certainly I like at the beginning was kind of worried about what was going on. And
yeah,
now by this time I'm kind of settled into it and kind of enjoying it. Do you know what I mean? Like it's quite nice to be relaxing.
yeah, sure.
I think we should definitely make the most of it while we can at the moment. Cool. So you live in Paris, is that correct?
Yes, I live in Paris now since 16 years now.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
And before that, where were you based?
So I was born in Japan and grew up there. I even finished the university. I studied French literature there. So when I was 22, after that, I decided to go abroad, and then I picked France up to study cinema in general. Not it was particularly cinematography. I didn't really know even the term of cinematography at that moment. It was in 2004. I came to Paris as a student, and then I studied the cinema there.
And what made you from like French literature to like obviously I guess did the course that you were studying kind of brought you to Paris, but then
Yeah.
what was the driving force to go into like a cinema course?
Yeah, so it's a little bit unique way, I think. I grew up in countryside in near Osaka, and my parents were quite religious people on Shintoism and on Shinto, the Japanese religion.
Okay.
And then so I during 6 years for junior high school and high school, I went to Osaka alone, separated from my parents, and I was in a really strict school, religious school, where actually I didn't have any access to the to culture at all. Like everything was about studying and praying and stuff. But I always wanted to do something creative, and my parents are both ceramic artists. So I was always hesitating if I have to, if I want to, if I want. I didn't know if I wanted to really study art in general or something else which fits me well.
Yeah.
So it was back in 90s. So I didn't, we didn't, there's no internet yet. So
Right. Yeah.
actually, I didn't really grow up with cinema at this moment, but the literature was one of the rare, access to the culture. So, I was always reading a lot of books and studying, and then this is how I could go to the university in Tokyo, where I decided to study literature rather than economy or something,
Yeah.
and then I went to Tokyo when I was 18. It was 2000, and this was the first year I touched the internet. I got the cell phones. I could be,
Mind
I
blown.
yeah, it was really, really huge culture shock. I mean, this was the first moment I could, I can wake up alone, there's nobody in my room.
Right. Okay.
So I could go everywhere I wanted to go, like, to see movies or shopping, whatever.
Yeah.
And I remember in the first month, in Japan, the school system starts from April. So in the first month, I went to Shibuya, in the center of the Tokyo city, and then I wanted to just watch movie because I was a little bit interested in, but I didn't know anything about it. There was a French film actually releasing there. It was Gaspar Noé's in French title Seul contre tous. Seul contre tous. I don't know if you know this one. So it was one of the best Gaspar Noé's movie there, and it was a really, really big shock. Like I didn't really expect that the cinema can be that level. Like, I mean, for me, like reading literature was always something really supreme. Like I don't know, really something really important for me. And cinema was always for me like something like more like entertainment or something. And then when I saw Gaspar Noé's movie, and then I discovered Lars von Trier and all these, great directors at that time.
It was an art to it.
Yeah, so this is how I discovered the cinema, but I was still already a literature student. I was passionate with a Japanese contemporary author named Kobo Abe. So I wanted to study him as major, but in my university there was not real specialization in the Japanese modern literature. And then I started to learn French, kind of just by chance, but because my mother checked the French language as a second language after English, which was an obligation for everybody, and the French language was just an option.
Right.
So this is how all the dots were made, and then everything was combined together 4 years after, when I decided to go out of Japan. And then France was for me one of the closest country, and then I really liked the French movies, and I wanted to learn more French languages. So this is how I decided to come to Paris, and this time to study cinema, which is really popular in France. So it was a little bit random, but this is how I came to Paris.
Right.
And then
so how did you then go from so you're studying film in Paris, and you're saying it wasn't a specific cinematography course.
No.
So how did that come about? Was it after the course, or was it during the course that you kind of fell into the cinematography?
So I arrived in Paris in April. I had like 3 months to find a school. So this is how.
So you didn't have anything lined up. You just kind of thought, "Oh, I'll give it a go. There'll be something."
Yeah, it was really like last minute project, because I was supposed to study in the master in Japan. But I decided to abandon it like just 1 month before graduation. And then I came to Paris a little bit in rush, just with my suitcase. And then so all the money I had to go to the master, I convinced my parents to use that to study cinema in France. Right. Where the scholarship is not super expensive compared to Japan or UK. And then I met some people, and the people recommended me to try some private school there. So I did one of them called ESRA, which is more like specialized in technique type movie movie school, cinema school. So I started, but at that moment, it was kind of the first time I, went out of Japan. I didn't speak English. I didn't speak French, a little bit, but for Japanese guy of my generation, my French wasn't so bad, but it was not good enough to make a conversation with people, like a group discussion, to work together. So it was really impossible, in the first year. And it was a 3 years course. And from the second year, you have to choose your
specialization.
Yeah. And actually, I really liked like a film photography, like still photography as amateur before. So I think this is why I feel like, cinematography was one of the easiest thing for me to understand, even if my interested was more like on narrative aspect,
Right.
as I came from literature background.
Yeah.
But photography was, for me, I felt it was the only thing I could do with people. And it was one.
There's a visual language, isn't there? Set aside the kind of language barrier, maybe.
Exactly.
Images are images with everyone.
Exactly. So I was a little bit handicapped with languages, but this handicap, allowed me to go more deeply in technique, where I felt like, equal to others, or even I felt like less stressed in front of the film camera, or to measure exposure and to shoot something on film. At the time, we still used the 16mm camera at school. So
Nice.
this is how I discovered cinematography. And also, like in this school, as the school is really more like oriented to techniques, there are a lot of students who became gaffer, cinematographer. Right. So everybody was more or less interested in technique. So
was it quite a practical course, or did you get to shoot a lot of stuff while you were there?
Not so much practical, but there are a lot of theory. You have to sit down and you study like most of the time. But everybody tried to be as creative as possible. So even if there was really few technical practice in school, but outside of school, like every weekend we try to do the shitty videos together with friends, like movie students. So we were always hanging with camera and doing stuff. So the school gave me a lot in terms of like environment. So
yeah. And did you, a lot of the people you met there, did you go on to work with them, and were there directors there as well who now you worked with?
There's some of them who became like who are still working in the industry, like the one which is a little bit internationally famous is Greg and Leo, who is not a duo director anymore, but they did the Jane's music video, and that they went to the Grammy Awards.
Nice.
And so there, all we studied all together, and there are a lot of people who became GP quite active today, and yeah.
Cool. And then going on from that, so you finished the course, and what was like the next step for you? Did you went straight into shooting?
So even during the studying, I was a little bit older than other students, as I had studied something else before. I was more really like focused on, I have to really find out really quickly my way in the industry. So
right. The career path.
Yeah. So the first year, it was a time to discovery of the cinematography, and I started to the internship at the lighting rental house, camera rental house, just to see how the things goes on. And then I could get a chance through the internship, and then to the TV series set, music video, commercial, feature film.
As an assistant.
As a more like a spark internship at the beginning, and then quickly as a camera intern. Right. From the second year, I was a little bit like between school and the set. I tried to be as busy as possible to learn everything. I was actually there and set to note everything I noticed technically, and as the internet was not like today. There was not so much information around us, right, so I had to really watch other people were how they
the corner taking notes on everyone else.
Exactly. I did it like that. So everybody was made fun of me, like, oh, you're like doing an industrial stealing. You know what I mean? Like a spy.
The cinematography spy. Yeah.
Exactly. But that was the last moment where I could spend my time with no salary to learn. So I tried to learn as quick as possible.
Yeah, nice. And how did you then take that from doing those kind of assisting jobs to stepping more into the cinematography role?
So since I was in the school, every weekend we were doing the video, and I was always the cinematographer on it. And then my career as AC was not as good as I wanted, and maybe first because of the language barriers.
Right.
Even if at this moment my French was not so bad, but sometimes there's small details that sometimes I misunderstood something, or I wasn't really felt comfortable being group chat, and also I was the only one Asian in the industry. And I don't know, so it was really fun, and people welcomed me so much, and the French people were really nice with me, but just it wasn't super easy for me as to be AC. So I feel like at this moment I was more like waiting for the call to go to this, to the professional set.
Yeah.
And all the rest of the time we tried to do the like independent short movie, music video. It was a long struggle, and then it was roughly around 2008 and 9. So I finished my school, and I really wanted to, be an independent professional, but I was still running everywhere to where's the work, how I can get into the, the industry. Yeah. I was looking for that. But my visa was close to expire. The money started to be really short. And and the 2008, it was the it was the economic recession.
Yeah.
And there are less TV commercial shooting there, and also digital cinematography was coming in. So I was actually film loader, but I had to learn how to manage this red Wang camera. Data manager. What is a data manager? So I had to so sometimes I was doing the kind of the DIT jobs, as there was nobody who understood the red one at this moment. And then my break point was, so I was in a really fragile situation. I am like this, and I was saying to myself, like, if it's like that, like 6 more months, like just I have to go back to Japan. But I was already 28 or something, so I was quite old as internship guy. Um, and I didn't really felt I was doing well to be a professional AC. And as cinematographer, I was only doing like a free, no money job. And it was a difficult moment. And at this moment, Canon 5D came, was released. And when I hold that, I felt, okay, that's kind of game changer. I can make a video with this. And so I'm really, really in the middle. I started my career with thanks to 5D, 5D. Even if I really prefer to shoot on 35 and 16, and I could actually use all the camera which existed at this moment. Like from there to like more than a year, I shot only with 5D for some moment, and then suddenly I got so much client, and the people, my phone started to ring all the time.
Great, yeah, and that was for like a kind of more of a step up from the 5D stuff. You mean like it kind of started becoming, they saw that work and you started getting other work in?
You mean the step up from the 5D to other things?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, it was quite quick. Like I was thinking, oh, next step gonna be like at least I can, I want to shoot something with red one, but I didn't have money to buy that, and all of my project was too small to use those professional digital camera.
Right.
But I don't really remember, but maybe it was thanks to some music videos and some commercial I did for, only for Daily Motion or YouTube, or, it was really the beginning of the digital content. People saw my videos, and then, yes, one day it became Alexa, and then, I never came back to DSLR. Yeah.
Right. Slowly but surely, and then once you go, you never go back.
Yeah. So it wasn't. Yeah. This step wasn't so difficult. Like just once you did something a little bit interesting, and then people give you better project, better cameras. It was quite natural. Yeah.
It's like a snowball effect. It just slowly starts building up.
Yeah. So yeah, for 10 years ago, it was not like now. The good camera was not that easy to reach for everybody, but it was possible. And then I feel like I did it well at this moment. Yeah.
And you mainly shooting commercials and music videos now, or what kind of, are you doing narrative more and more? What's the kind of scope of your work at the moment now as a cinematographer?
So my focus is always from the beginning to now is to do narrative work. Mm-hmm. I want to do feature film. I want to do maybe TV contents as well, like everything with narrative and with the sound recording, and emotionally interesting, things, not only visual. But as I didn't do, as I've just explained, my beginning of the career, it was really something like I tried to, my aim was just, even if I really wanted to do movies, I didn't have any connection to do that at the beginning. Right. So the commercial and music video was the only field where I could really express myself. So my reel was made on it. So since long time, I've been shooting mainly commercial and music video, but I was always trying to do something which can become more like narrative based project later. Even for music video, I always I really like to do more like narrative music video than just only performance. And then
did you so how have you been doing that in terms of like pushing yourself? What kind of things have you been doing to get your name more in those kind of, you know, narrative circles?
How do I do, or how
have you like pushed yourself into more like narrative work? What have you, are there kind of anything that you've been doing in particular, i.e., I don't know, contacting the right people or working, looking for shorts or that kind of thing? Is there anything in particular that you've really tried to focus on to get yourself more into that kind of narrative field?
Yes. So yeah, that's a good question. Like this is the question I'm asking every day.
Yeah.
So I did some feature film, especially in 2018. I shot 2 feature film and also 2 short film. And so this feature film and one of 2 short film went to Cannes Festival. And so that was the year where I could really shift my career towards more narratives. And
that's, so the feature film, it was called Abou Leila, is that correct?
Yeah, Abou Leila. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how did that come to you? Was it quite a, did you know the director previously, or did you kind of interview for it? What was the process in getting that feature without having too much kind of feature work on your reel?
Yeah, so it was in 2012. I shot a short film in Algeria with this director who is like the same age as me. We're in the same generation, guys who studied in Paris, not together, but at the same time. Yep. So we had a lot of friends in common. And so he asked me to do his short film. And I went to Algeria and I shot that. And the film was good, but it was not a huge success then. And he disappeared a little bit after that. And the director, went somewhere. And also I became super busy for commercial music video then. So, so we didn't, send so much news each other, but
yeah,
like just 1 year before we shot Abou Leila, I was in a situation where, okay, what I'm shooting today doesn't really look like what I really wanted to do at the beginning. Like what I really want to do, why do I do this project and not the film I watch in a film? I'm not doing. I thought I was quite young in my career, but in 2015, 16, 17, I started to really feel like I had enough experience. I started to get old, but I'm still like really far from what I really like. So this is the reason why at the beginning of 2018, I decided not to take any more project I don't really like. Like I really decided to cut myself from all the network I had before. Right. And so I took like a kind of not completely vacation, but everything
focused everything into that kind of narrative world that you wanted to really work on.
Exactly. Sometimes I took like when there are some movie festival in France, I took the car and with my AC friend, we went to check all the festivals and to watch everything and to meet people. Yeah. Just I tried to spend more time and also more like energy towards the narratives.
Yeah.
And otherwise, I feel like if I don't do anything, just my life goes towards the direction where I don't really want to. So,
I mean, I think I can remember you, because obviously we known each other before. Like when I was in AC, we worked there quite a few times, and you were in London, I think, for a job. And I can remember us being at the pub, and you just saying, and you were saying, make sure you just shoot lots of shorts now. Get those shorts under your belt, and because
Yeah, sure.
you were like, when you want to go to do narrative and do that long form stuff, you'll want to have those shorts on your reel, which great advice. I definitely took it on board and have tried to not snub my nose too much at like freebie shorts or stuff other directors that might just be reaching out. And I think it's tough because you get sent a lot of scripts that are not great, but it's always finding that diamond in the rough. And also you never know where that director is going to go. Do you know what I mean? So you've just got to be you've got to be careful what you do and what you don't do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So then what I wanted to say about this story was, so when I decided like this and I started to really behave differently, I think, it was all of a sudden, Amin came back to me with, Kaname, hi, long time no see. Like last time was like 5 years ago. Actually I've been working on my first feature last 5 years, and finally we got the money and we can shoot it. Are you with me? And then, wow, I didn't, so these things are not connected like logically, but just that I really feel like my decision, which made me go ahead towards the direction I wanted, and it was as if my decision brought something close to what I really wanted. And if the same for other feature film and also 2 different short film. And sometimes the one which was which worked quite well in the festivals, named Homesick, which is directed by Koya Kamura, who is the French-Japanese director in Paris. We shot this in Japan. The same, with Koya, we know each other on commercial industry. I didn't even know that he was, developing his narrative career, and that's why I didn't really hear his name for a little bit of time. And then, he came back to me. Okay, I have this, and I want to shoot that with you, and all came together suddenly. I really believe that it was thanks to my decision too. I don't know why. It's not really logical thinking, but it's always the strong decision you take brings you towards where you really want to go. So
I think it's definitely one of those age-old things where you have to, if you have something you really want to do you know what I mean? Whether it's even like something in your career or something in your personal life, there's a huge difference between like sitting on it and having it in your mind of being like, I'd really love to go visit, Indonesia, I think, other than actually like putting it out there and saying, I'm going to go and do it. Do you know what I mean? And, in your career, if there's things that you want to achieve in it, there's no point just kind of thinking it. You've just got to, it's those brave steps, make it happen a lot of the time, I think it's a big thing for like ACs stepping up to DP. Like I definitely found it where you can like be thinking, oh yeah, I'd love to shoot, I'd love to step up to cinematography, but until you fully commit and like start saying to people, I'm a DP now, it's not going to happen, because how are people ever going to know that kind of stuff? Do you know what I mean? So
exactly. And the decision should be more it's clear, better it works.
Right. The firm cutoff is definitely what's needed all the time. So the feature Abou Leila, like just give us like a very brief kind of rundown of what it is. I mean, it's not out yet, is it? Is that it's
not out yet? It was supposed to be released in April in France for the first time, but because of coronavirus, we don't know when can it be. But the trailer is released, and so I can explain it shortly. So it's a quite experimental for thriller drama set in Algeria 1994, where Algeria was really one of the worst place to be at this moment with terrorism. And so Amin and all of his friends in Algeria grew up, our generation kids grew up, spent their youth at this moment. So Amin wanted to do a movie about this age, but not about the terrorism and the terror of the terrorism, like as a journalist, but more like representation of what was this period, and how the kids of how the kids of this generation felt at this moment. But
right. Yeah.
But the film is not about the memory of him. So the film is it's about the two police officers who are friends. One of two is a little bit broken by was shocked too much about the events, and then he's a little bit obsessed by a terrorist called Abou Leila. So we don't know why, but he really needs to go to look for this Abou Leila somewhere. So we don't know if Abou Leila exists. But his friend really feel that it's it can be a dangerous trip for him to go alone to look for Abou Leila in the middle of Sahara Desert. So his friend decided to come along with him to travel. So it's a road trip of the two police officers in the middle of the desert looking for Abou Leila that we don't know who he is, And
does it delve into kind of the psychological aspect of like him trying to find this maybe make believe, maybe real kind of character?
Exactly, more or less like that. Yeah. A little bit like psychedelic psychedelic thriller film set in Algeria. Yeah, it was a great.
You guys shot in Algeria?
Yeah. So we shot in Algeria with Algerian actors with Algerian dialect of Arabic language that I don't understand anything, but there are a lot of French language influence on it, and most of the people can speak French there. I went to Algeria like during 3 months, and
you were shooting for 3 months out there.
The shooting was like 6 weeks, and some days in Paris, in France, in some studio days, like just 2 days of studio in France for the money funding issues. But all the rest was shot in Algeria for the Algerian people, as the budget was really low, under 1 million. So I could bring my AC there, and who accepted like indie feature film rate for the friendship, and also he wanted to do the adventure with me. And the Steadicam operator came with me as well, like for 2 weeks. So we did all the Steadicam shot there. So Algeria is still it's not dangerous anymore there. Like the daily life is quite stable there. But since this Black Ages, the country is completely shut down. So there's no tourism. It's like a new little Cuba. Like it's not completely internationalized.
Yeah. Nice. And how did you guys get kit out there, or did you take kit with you? What was that kind of like? Is there a film industry out there already, or how did you?
So
with that?
So the first time in 2012, there was nothing there. Like it was, you should bring everything. So I remember for the short film, I brought Red Scarlet with Ultra Prime, and even the tripod. You had to, bring it. But
and lights and everything, all like if you were going to use it.
There are something, but really like basic big stuff. Like there is not flow at this moment. There is you have to bring some some stuff. But since then things changed so much. 6 years after the short film, we could find the camera there, but the problem was more like there was no choice of lenses. So what I did is, rather than accepting just the condition of the local condition, and also the Cook S4 they proposed us, was we didn't really know it was really we can book it with our rate or not. So it was quite
slightly unpredictable of what you were going to maybe get, or like whether you were actually going to get it or that kind of thing.
Exactly. So that's why I decided to bring our own lens from Paris. And
what did you take with you?
So we decided to shoot on anamorphic. I mean, who didn't really like anamorphic, but after how many days of meeting about the lens, to watch all the references, old stuff, the new stuff, and then at the end we decided to shoot on anamorphic when we understood we couldn't shoot on film. And then but for this project we had to bring the lens with us physically, and so that means you have to block 3 months, and then all the equipment I was using for commercial and music video at this moment, I couldn't really bring that. Then nobody, they didn't really want you to take it for such a long time. But there was just one set of Telin Elite anamorphic, which is a Russian massive anamorphic lenses, quite old one, which was available, but there was only 4 lenses available, like 32, 50, 75, and 100, and that's all. So there was no 40 mil, but I mean, it's someone who wants to calculate everything, like he wants to control everything, and once he chooses his direction, he wants to follow this direction. So this is really comfortable if you're a cinematographer, like you make your own artistic cinematography rules, and then just we stick to it, and then we do the film with the condition. So this was the only possibility we could do on anamorphic, and we tested the lens. We quite liked the result. So we said, let's do that, and then we did everything with elite anamorphic.
Did you find when you got there that were you ever like longing for more lenses, or did you find that the set of 4 did you proud, or what was once you got there, how did you feel about the set?
On set?
Yeah, like once you got to actually shooting Algeria, you've only got these 4 lenses, anamorphics.
Yeah.
Did you find that you only stuck on the 50 mil for the whole thing, or did you end up really wishing, oh no, I wish I actually had that 150, or I wish I had that 40 mil?
Actually, what we really missed so much was 40 mil. I like 40 mil, and the 50 is tiny bit too long, but 32 mil is a super wide lens for anamorphic, and then there's so much distortion. So even the contrast is not as good as 50 and 40. So we had to shoot more or less everything with 50 mil, and also we brought one zoom. anamorphic conversion engine zoom, but we didn't use it so much. So as it was too big, and there are a lot of things happening in the car.
Was it like the 50 to 500? That one?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it was a bit. It's
Big.
Great to do the long lens, but there is not so much, for sure, wide lens, wide angle range on the zoom. So we use it only for the car shots, but all the car mounts inside the car we mainly shot with 50. So Vossi could help us so much. But it was a condition, and we did it, and we didn't regret our choice.
Nice. Yeah. And how was the shoot in general? Was it tough? Was it hot? Was it, were there particular times that you struggled with it being like low budget, that kind of thing?
So it was a difficult project because of first of all, it was doing a movie in Algeria itself is quite difficult because nothing is, friendly for film shooting. And also, Sahara Desert in Algeria is such an politically important place because there are a lot of oils and gold and everything that the rich country want to, rub is there. So there are a lot of military bases, and that they don't want to have any problem with they are touching the border with Libya, where there was a revolution, and Mali, which there's a Boko Haram, or so in the desert was really protected area, and but we were doing something that authority can never understand what we were doing. So, and also there's a Japanese guy coming there, and so it was a more like unreal situation, and so it was difficult psychologically, more like because every day we didn't know if we could do it. Right. If the military guy was escorting all the time, even sometimes in the hotel, which is almost empty, a guy like with a normal, outfit came in, and he asked me. He looks really nice and friendly, and we chat. And 5 minutes later, okay, show me all the pictures you took on set today. Wow, like it was a control,
Oh,
I was
checking out.
Yeah, I was being checked all the time, and I couldn't walk around alone. I could go only where it was declared, like from there to there by the production with the military people next to me, and so I didn't feel any liberty in such a beautiful place in the middle of nowhere. It's so amazing landscape, but I quite, I felt like as if I was a prisoner or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was difficult, and we didn't have enough money. That was a difficult problem too. If the director has an idea, so both logistic and financial problem were always with us. So in the middle of the shoot,
I think I can remember seeing some behind the scenes pictures of some interesting kind of dolly rigs.
Yeah, because there's no dolly there, but we should do the dolly shoot. So we could rent. For some days, we could bring a Panther dolly from Algeria, but there's only one or two or something like that. So we couldn't, just put it in our truck. And also, it takes like 3 days to go from Algeria to where we were shooting. It's so far. It's really, really big country. So if you forget something, it's over. So we didn't have rail tracks all the time, and sometimes we have to boom the camera like slowly tracking inside the car from outside, but it's like a kind of impossible shot, you know. So
through the window.
Through the window, or sometimes there's no, you know, we are as if we are outside, but the camera goes through really tiny space, and so this really precise thing we had to do with what we had on set. And then as we were working with a local crew, the key grip guy Youssef is like, he did a lot of movies, he has a lot of experience, and he's really experienced, nice key grip guy, but you have to handle his like old man's character, like he's like, he knows everything, he's the boss, like you have to convince him. And so when I explained my idea, he said, oh, okay, no, let me do it. And he did it always a little bit differently than what I had imagined. So, well, you know, we didn't have time to lose. So like when I was just waiting for his installations, at the beginning I don't understand what he was doing. He started to cut the woods and what, you know, the guy, what are you doing? And then, well, we couldn't discuss so much, but at the end we tried his system and it worked. Like, so it was, you know, everything was like that. I was there to I had to work with the crew who was they were all nice and good people, and they you know, they're good technical there, just but they're their way of work, and we're in their country, and it's me who, so you have to be patient, and you know, it was psychologically, it's not easy, all of that, like you are alone to, and I mean, want to do a perfect shot for everything. Like he's, you know, he wants to do something like a Kubrick. So
you want everything to look like, you know, every film you've ever watched. But sometimes you just got to get a bit of wood and stick the camera on the end. And you mentioned just a minute ago the reason you went with anamorphic was because you weren't going to be able to shoot on film. Was that was film something originally that was kind of on the cards?
For us, yes. Like even if, you know, we didn't really have an idea about what does it mean 700,000 euro for entire, you know, the budget for entire film, and the shooting in Algeria. I was thinking sometimes, you know, low budget things is more friendly than big budget one to shoot on film. Like, you know, artistic decision can be taken sometimes easily just by the director. There's not so much, you know, discussion with the client and this stuff. So it was, we believed at the beginning, but we spent so much meeting, and we studied how does it work to send the film to the lab in Paris. And after the first tech recce, which was in May, I really understood quickly. No, it's so nonsense. It's just impossible in this situation where, you know, the military guys are, you know, with us, and they're opening everything. And then, I cannot be, you know, guarantee the shooting, you know. If we lose one day, like the shooting is over, there's only 3 flights per week. And then we had the, you know, super tight schedule to film everything. The distance is huge between the hotel and the set. Fortunately, the weather was good, and we didn't lose so much time because of the weather. And it was in the winter in the desert, which is like a little bit like a ideal vacation weather, you know. It's not too hot, always the sunny day, incredible landscape everywhere. So the weather helped us so much, but it was difficult in general.
What was it like? I mean, working with the sun? Was it with it being winter? Did you still get quite a low sun throughout the day, or did it hit high peaks?
Yeah, the sun wasn't so high. I don't remember how high it was, but yeah, it's like it's how was the late? It was not a super long day, but not too short neither. Yeah, I have to recheck my notes about the sun. But yeah, sun is quite more or less low.
Okay.
At the lunchtime, the sun is quite high, but not like that high.
Right, nice. So you weren't getting the kind of direct top, harsh, beating down sun.
But there are some. And also, when you're in the in the desert, when the sun is too low, sometimes you have your own shadow problem, like like a Steadicam there. When we did the long take with the Steadicam and with the 360, but we had to we calculate that once the sun starts to low like at like 4 p.m. or something, it's quite early. His head shadow start to be on the characters when he's close, and so we had to finish everything before 4. And there was no budget on post to remove the shadow and the stuff, so we really had to make everything happen in camera. Yeah, I remember.
Great. And so while you've been moving into this kind of more feature world, you've still been shooting commercials and kind of music videos and stuff.
Yeah.
And one of the notable ones is the Stormzy video that you did. I think it was last year, was that? And it won Video of the Year at the UK VMAs.
Yeah.
How was that? Because I think it was a big video. Do you know what I mean? For
yeah.
For the UK, it was something completely different for a grime artist. How did it come about? How did it come to you?
So working in UK was kind of it was part of my goal too, from since not long time, like 3-4 years. Like I really wanted to work in London more and more, but I didn't really know how to do. And so I met Barnaby, my agent, just before this movie year, which was 2018. I spent like 7 or 8 months for indie movie like that. All of them was like that. So I was quite busy for it. I didn't have so much time to develop that. And so we wrapped the Abou Leila's studio final part in January 2019. I was so tired. Like I was a little bit tired of narrative scene, like with no money and everything was struggle. And so I wanted to take a little bit of break. But at this moment, Barnaby called me. We have there's a cool music video with Wiley first. The director is Henry Schofield, and I have already seen some of his works, and wow, that's great! Like it's really, really opposite to Abou Leila. Like I want to do that. Like the music is cool, and I go to London. Even in the music video with performance, that means that all the talents are looking at the camera, and so the language is completely different.
This was for the Vossi video with Wiley.
Boasty, yeah. It was a Boasty video because it's connected to Stormzy, thanks to because it's a Henry Schofield. The first, it was the first contact with Henry.
With Henry,
yeah. So straight after Abou Leila, I did Boasty, which was crazy project. Wiley didn't come up on set, and I have to. I don't know how many times I came back to Paris and go to London and you know, and reshoot anything. And
so the video originally was meant to have Wiley in it.
yeah,
But
so
he's if people don't know, he is I don't know how if I get told off saying this, but he is pretty notorious, and I think that almost played into the kind of video itself. But he's got like a bit of a reputation and slightly notorious, but just never turning up ever.
yeah, this is what I understood, but I didn't really know him. I knew some, you know, some of his music, but you know, I didn't know about the music video, how it's made, and who, you know, who was doing how. So just I went to London and I saw, wow, that's crazy. London's music video industry is really crazy, but I quite liked it. Like the music was really cool. We shot mainly in Peckham.
Yeah.
You know, from Sahara to Peckham was like, wow, completely. I really like that. So I was like super happy to start to do something completely different. And then suddenly it was, yeah, I didn't really expect at the time that all of the year I was with Henry. We did so much video then. And then, as you mentioned, we did Stormzy, Vossi, which was really crazy as well because of the time. Like once I was confirmed, it was like just 6 days before shooting, and there was no location, there was no animatics at the time, and I came to London, and then when I went to office, I remember all of them had like 2 phones in hands, and when I showed up at the office, like nobody really noticed that I arrived, and they so much at the same time, and everybody was running to make this happen, and the tech recce. But when I came, like the on the desk, the camera and lens were already booked. I didn't do anything. Like it was the last day to book the equipment. So Javi, the producer, said, "Okay, this is the camera and lens. We have to do that. We don't have time to negotiate, and at least this super equipment we have, and we use it." Okay, well, that's great.
Yeah, what did he get you?
So it was Cook S4 and Alexa Mini.
Yeah,
quite classic, but just I asked them to add super wide angles, and then we shot everything with 14 mil finally, and I like Cook S4, and so
I think they're quite an underrated set. Do you know what I mean? I think they got a slight bad rap when the Alexa first came out, and like everything was shot on like Alexa Cook S4, and there was just like a blanket look across ITV TV dramas of S4. And then I think they're great. I think they're a solid lens. You know what I mean?
I like it. I like it so much.
Yeah, I mean, it was that. So you say that there was like, because when you watch the video, it looks so meticulously thought out. Do you know what I mean? All the transitions and the camera moves, and all the scenes are in like a very particular kind of time of day. You know what I mean? Had that already all been thought out previously to these 6 days, or was that something that you just kind of, you and Henry really hashed out during those 6 days?
So Henry is like is a director who prepares everything with the animatics, like shot everything, try to film something with this tiny camera first to check the transition and the technical stuff, like a lot of directors. So all the transition basics and the timing and the stuff, we had blueprints quite precise. But what is difficult for cinematographer is there's not so much rehearsal with camera and stuff. So but you have to use techno cranes, and you don't really have time to measure the distance, but you just have the soundtrack, and you know how many seconds from there to there and how you know the speed of your equipment, how fast the crane can move, go up, go down, and the pan. So you have to anticipate so much technical limit for everything. Like if the spin is not fast enough, it doesn't work. But you have to really sure. You can never be sure at 100%, but you have to anticipate 90% with your experience to design everything in your head, and you know that where we did the all the car spinning scene when Stormzy is rapping on car stuff. So it's impossible to do the animatic with a phone or tiny camera before in the office. So these space issues, if it's a feature film, you always do a rehearsal with the camera and just to check if technically works. But it's your responsibility that you're responsible on this, but you don't really have time to check that before. So
there's definitely I know what you mean. Like there's a lot of kind of pressure involved in people looking at you going, so it's going to work, right? And you're going, oh yeah. And in your head you're going, oh, I really hope this works. I really hope this works.
Yeah. So you can never be sure 100%. But I was quite comfortable with it. But on set, like you can never understand why you take 1 hour to move this techno crane from the truck to put the truck here, and then so the time flies, but I have only like 4 hours in total to set up everything.
Yeah.
And so before arrival of the talent, you have to check everything, but with no car. And so what I did, so for this shot, Jem Morton, the key grip, my favorite key grip in London, who helped me so much to me and him took everything in our hands to so that means this shot starts from here. So we marked that. We marked everything on the track, on the key point.
Yeah.
Before the choreography start. Otherwise, we cannot change everything once the
track played and the technicrane's on it. Yeah, everything. Yeah, definitely.
So you have to have your own method to design this kind of shot. Where you put the truck, why this but not 10 meter away, and why 20 meter rather than 10 meter. Why the camera goes up that high but not so
do you feel like it's definitely like a collaborative process then between you and Jem to kind of,
and Henry, of course, who was there too.
Yeah.
So he is very he know a lot of he's very technical director too, so he knows how the crane works, what is the limit of the crane. So he tried to push his idea to the limit of each setup, and then he's intelligent enough to adjust his idea at the last moment to a little bit towards the technical limit, and then so that's a quite it was a great collaboration altogether. So, but Vossi was really like. As there were so few time to prepare, and at the end, every scene went super well, and it was such a huge pleasure when you see on your monitor that everything works well, and even beyond what you had expected. And Stormzy's performance and the Steadicam operators were crazy. It was so good.
Who was it who was operating on that for you, Steadicam?
It was Rich Lewis, who did the London's Monument Park, Westminster Bridge, and the other one is Josh Brook, who is the parking one. But both gave quite different energy, and which worked quite well for each scene. So I'm super happy of the result.
How many days did you shoot that? How many?
So 1 day with each steady camera operator. So 2 days of shoot in total.
Okay. Yeah. Nice. Nice. Yeah. I think it was a great video to, it was just something very different. Do you know what I mean? Than your typical kind of grime video. And I think, that's all credit to like everyone coming together. And I guess, you're saying about, you finally see it on the monitor and it's all working. And I guess down to, that meticulous planning from like everyone. Do you know what I mean? From Henry down to you guys, I think the planning is what brings everything together every time.
Exactly. Yeah. On the crane shot, just I forgot to add that there was also Simon Lacos, my AC, who was AC at that moment, who had to help me to change the wheel speed so that I could pan to follow fast enough at the end, but we had to do something really slow at the beginning. So there was a cue on the speed, pan speed on the wheels as well. So it was a choreography of everybody. So that was really nice.
Nice. And then you most recently, I think it's probably the most recent thing you've had come out is that Octavian Poison video that you did with Crown and Owls.
Yeah,
that was I think there's some pretty cool kind of experimental camera work you did on that. I mean, I think you used thermal imaging cameras next to an Alexa. Is that correct? Yeah, go maybe just chat a little bit about what you did there.
Okay. So I met the directors. It's a trio of directors who are all also photographers, too, amazing photographers. So I met them thanks to the producer of Vossi, who is Javi, who has his own company called Noir. So Noir is representing them. So this is how I met them to shoot that video. So yeah, as is often the case with the good directors, like when I met them, they explained me so much ideas, like cinematography ideas, like as if, and one of the three is also was also a cinematographer too. So like they had already all these ideas I could give if you don't know it, but they knew sometimes even more than me. Like they were already watched all the tutorials and the example videos, the thermal cameras. I discovered, thanks to them, the CO2 camera, which the same system, but which can capture the breathing, painted, which is nice. That we really wanted to use, but we couldn't get it with the time we had. Like it was confirmed the same, like just 10 days before the shoot, and we couldn't get it for the shoot. But yeah, so this is so my when the director is a good cinematographer too. Even they have a really good notions about the lighting too. Sometimes they use the sky panels and stuff by themselves to do small videos, or so literally they really knew everything. So I was a little bit thinking, maybe it's difficult to find my position in this project as there are already 3 people in front of but in reality, the collaboration went quite well. I feel like I really tried to help them to make everything happen. It was a 1 day of shoot, so I tried to. What I did was, okay, this video can be great if we can make everything happen. So I just run like for 4 days to check everything if it works, and the transition from the thermal camera to the Alexa camera should work. So and then there was nobody who can test it. So I went to the office and I was touching the camera to to check everything. And I asked to Jem and the Steadicam operator to prepare well the rig so that we don't lose the time. I spend more time to negotiate to get the second camera body
So you didn't have to pull apart the rig with the thermal camera. You could just jump straight onto an Alexa camera.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. And so for those transitions where, you know, if you haven't seen the video, I'm sure we'll have images of it up at the moment. But you kind of had, you know, your conventional Alexa shot, but then within that shot, it's switching or overlaying to this kind of thermal image of exactly the same shot. And you did that by putting them as close together as possible, or how did you kind of end up actually rigging them?
So we didn't go with the, you know, stereography or
the 3D kind of rig. I think I messaged you once you did it to ask if you'd actually done it through the mirror.
Because of the budget too, and also thermal camera is not designed at all to do anything remotely. Like it's just a tiny box, and there's a button is, you know, in a weird position.
Right.
You cannot really rig correctly to something. And also I didn't really know that when there's a transparent classic glasses in front of you and you shoot that, if there's some people behind, you don't see them at all. I think the glass cuts the temperature, and so it's quite weird. You see it with your eye, but the camera doesn't see it. So I think once there's a mirror, you know, half transparent mirror in front of the lens, actually you lose everything. So it didn't work. So the best compromise we could do was doing side by side. And fortunately, the camera wasn't too big, so parallax was small enough to make the transition happen. But finally, at the end, they didn't use so much transition trick between two cameras. But yeah, it was we did it like that.
Great, man. Yeah, great. Cool. Well, I mean, we're coming to the end slightly. I mean, like, what have you got coming up? Is there anything in the pipeline? Have you, you know, obviously we're all in lockdown at the moment, but was there anything you had lined up that it's kind of been put on the back burner, or are there any projects that you have already heard about coming up?
Like during the lockdown or after lockdown?
But both, yeah. I mean, have you had anything during this lockdown? I mean, I've heard of a couple of shoots happening.
Yeah, so I was still, so just before lockdown, I was still in this crazy energy of Henry's project every month, and then I was doing sports brand commercial. I was actually shooting, but the talents didn't show up. It was in mid-March, and the project was canceled. We had and I was supposed to shoot a feature film now in Canada with English people. So it's now all standby, and I don't know if we can do it. So we all hope that we can do that once the lockdown is over, like after the summer or something. But nothing is sure. So everything become like, you know, uncertain. It looks really complicated to fly over to Canada to shoot. Honestly, now.
Hopefully, once it's all back to normal and everyone's moved on, it'll be back up and running.
Or maybe we can find out different solution to make it happen.
Yeah. I mean, I had a job that was meant to be in Cape Town and obviously got cancelled, and now they're talking about different places and this and that. So
Yeah.
they'll find these kind of solutions, and it won't just be completely canned. Do you know what I mean? So hopefully that'll be a great thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I don't have now. I have kind of there start to be some project now. I'm on a project using the device you can find every location, and doing the different footage in 10 different country and to connect. So I'm kind of the DP, but more like the supervisor of this project. So this is the only project I have now. But I'm like this week I spent actually in Paris. It was the lockdown was a little bit released, so I went to the rental house for the first time to get back some of my equipment to prepare to shoot on Super 16 with my Aton a minima camera, like a really tiny Super 16 camera I have.
Yeah.
So I did some maintenance, and I'm just checking everything if everything worked to prepare to shoot. If there can be anything that if there can be a project where it's possible when the single shooter can come with his own equipment.
I think that's definitely going to be a key part to like getting back to work. Is smaller, reduced units, and self-shooting, that kind of stuff is going to be definitely a must for a lot of productions, I think.
Yeah,
definitely. Wow, it's great that you can offer them up the 16mm. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's gonna be great. So I got this camera to do something more like doco style, emotional, private content. Maybe with the directors to do passion project or something.
Yeah.
So, but I was too busy to take care of it last 1 year. So yeah, I feel like it's time to
get it out of the box.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, man. Shoot some film. Cool. All right, man. Well, thanks so much for coming on and chatting and sharing some of your insights. And everyone, go check out Kanamé's work on his website, Instagram. But yeah, man, really appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time out, and hopefully we can see each other once again at the pub.
Yeah, thank you very much, Joe. See you soon.
No worries, man. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye.